All right, Bartoo, you ready?
Dude, I guess so.
All right,
Well,
here we
we're
go.
gonna
Hang
go
on.
all over the place. All right, all right.
When the lights are about to be turned off, you know what you need. Because you gotta somehow make that paper, right?
Show me the money!
You come to the right place for that. Because it's time for Bo Bounds
Show me the money!
to show you the...
Yes, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Bet $50 at the Timeout Lounge inside the Golden Moon Casino. That's the sports book. Play award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club for $40. We welcome in our friend Diamond Dave Bartoo, handicapper to the stars. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Man, we've got some big games this week. But first, we want to talk a little college football playoff with Bartoo and see what he and Adam thought about the first initial rankings, and then we'll jump into some Georgia and Ole Miss and Bama and LSU and maybe some games that Bartoo wants to look at. What's going on? Good looking,
Dude, it is a beautiful sunny day out here in Oregon. Got the number one ducks in the backyard, but also on the other side of the backyard, I got like the number 134 beavers. So it's a little yin and yang out here football wise. But no, it's great, and it's November. Dude, it's crunch time. I am really jacked for college football for the next 4 weeks.
You're Oregon. Your alma mater's number one. All right. Hey, real quick, are you buying them? Are you buying the Ducks? Or
what did I say? Well, what did I say on your show at the beginning of the season? Right? There's 4 national championship contenders based on talent, what they did the year before, and their coaching staff. It was Georgia, Tennessee, Oregon, and Ohio State. That was 4 we talked about on your show. Those were the only 4 teams that checked off all the national championship contender boxes based on what everybody's done over the last 25 years. So am I surprised with it? Maybe a little bit offensively, because, consider they lost a NFL drafted running back, first round drafted quarterback, 3 guys to the NFL draft on the offensive line. So, offensively, now they went out and bought themselves one of the better quarterbacks out there.
Sure.
But still, that takes time to come together. And, you look at their numbers year to date. Now, their schedule wise, okay, you can argue with me on their schedule pretty good, because they haven't. Let me look at these numbers. It's not like they've really, really played a tough schedule. The 2 tough teams have been at home, Ohio State and Boise State. And you look at their numbers year to date. Where's Will Stein? Oh, there he is. Got the number 12 scoring efficiency offense, and he's faced the number 54 defense schedule so far. So that's not bad. And they got the number 10 defense facing the 18th toughest offensive schedule so far. So, I forgot about that. That looks pretty good, man. And I say I'm not an X's and O's guy, so I just watch it for fun. But they just taking care of business right now.
all right, Diamond Dave on the Out of Bounds show. So real quick, Dave, top 5 or top 10? What did anything surprise you or Adam?
Not a big surprise. So the behavior, the last 10 years of rankings that we used as a behavior model had 14 of the top 15, not necessarily in exact order, right? We had Iowa State at 15 and they were 17, but Oregon 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia, Texas, Miami. That was all where it was supposed to be. I just found it interesting. The couple of teams that got a bump. Indiana got a bump. Penn State got a pretty big bump. LSU got a little bump. Everybody that got a bump up was all Big Ten SEC. And the 2 teams that got bumped down the hardest were the Big 12. So
Not surprising.
Then not really. What's cool though is afterward they can never justify it, because they just make stuff up about this, that, and the other about why they did stuff, and I don't think they're ever really truly honest about it. But I think part of it's just covering their butt, because looking forward, I think you and I would agree. They just said, okay, Big 12 is a one bid conference right now, right? And you would expect that one bid to be the conference champ, and that champ's going to be number 4. See, so here's a little CYA if you're on the playoff committee. If you don't believe, let's say BYU wins out and they're number 4, do you really believe that number 5 team should be ranked under them? Not really, right? So if you're the playoff committee, you push a BYU or an Iowa State down, expecting them to lose their first round game so you can say, see, I told you so. Our rankings are good. So part of this, you got to look forward in terms of playoff committee behavior looking good with this, because I think you and I know 5 is going to beat 12, and 5 is probably at least 8 out of 10 times going to beat the number 4 seed. It's going to be a stronger team than number 5, right? Because who's in line for number 5 right now? Texas, Oregon. You know, I mean, you're not expecting that 5 team to lose to the 4 seed. And, you know, so now the big stick that nobody's talking about is everybody says the Big 12 is a one-bid league. Well, what if BYU goes undefeated and loses in the Big 12 title game? A 12-1 BYU is not getting left out, right? This is like, you know, when it comes down to March Madness, when the 8 seed in the conference tournament pulls it off and screws everything up for, you know, somebody who was in last 4 in on the bubble suddenly becomes last 4 out because a team won that wasn't anticipated. And that's the most interesting part to me is, let's say Miami and BYU win out, but lose in their title games. They're both 12-1. They're both ranked in the top 6 before that loss. It's going to bump other teams out. So,
damn.
You know, everybody's talking ACC Big 12 one-bid league, unless there's a championship game upset, and then there's some real chaos, and I am here for it.
I am too. Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show. Show me the money. Brought to you by Stella Artois and Pearl River Resort. Bartoo probably already saw this before he jumped on with us, but we are live on YouTube, and this will be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and we'll play it tomorrow too. But Scott Strickland just released a statement. Billy Napier will be back as the Florida Gators coach. Bartoo's been scratching around on that the last couple of weeks as he joined us because of the improvement on the team. So Napier will be back in Florida. Okay, so Bartoo on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Bartoo, let's talk first. This is the game of the week for us. Nationally, it's Bama LSU. But this is the biggest game in the history of Ole Miss on their campus because it's a college football playoff elimination game. So I'm going to let you let it rip. Georgia at Ole Miss. What do you see here as far as the two teams?
Well, I think Ole Miss is one of the big enigmas, but it's probably the most underrated team in the country. This is a team that is 14th in offensive scoring efficiency, number 6th in total defense. It's along with Oregon and Ohio State, probably the most balanced team out there. And they're what? They're 2.5-point dogs right now at home?
They are.
They are.
54.5 total.
Yeah, I know. What's the rule in the SEC? Always just go with the better recruiter, right? So just go with the better recruiter. And what did I say on the show too is let's stop betting against Georgia because they show up for the big games so far this year. To me, I like the money line here. I'll take Georgia minus the 140 to just straight win. But you look at these numbers, I think the other thing it leans towards is a very defensive game. You got number 6 and number 20 on defense going up against number 14 and number 29 on offense. And we got a really nice total. We're at 54.5. So I think this game leans defense. I like Georgia to win it straight up. No points. I'm not going to mess around with those and take a risk there. But I also like the under in this game, under 54.5. I would love it if by kick it gets to 55.5. And the reason being is 55 is the most frequent total hit in college football over the last 10 years. So once you get past 55, the frequency of it hitting starts getting less and less. So that 54.5, it is really tempting. But if you have some patience and if it can move up to 55.5, normally I'm not too big on totals, but we're so close to that 55 line. I'd love to be at 55.5 if I'm on the under here.
All right, so he's expecting a close game, giving Georgia the edge. He's going under. Bartoo and I talked for a minute yesterday. We both believe that points will be at a premium on Saturday.
Yeah.
And it could rain like crazy.
But now here's what I find interesting in this game, and I know it's big in your area, but everybody says Alabama LSU is a playoff elimination game, right? And I think we'd agree on that. 3 losses, you're out, right? But is this a playoff elimination game? I mean, it is for Ole Miss. We know that. But is it for Georgia?
Great.
Because I know Georgia would still be 10-2, but if Ole Miss wins out, they're 10-2. Alabama wins out, they're 10-2. Texas wins out, they only got 1 loss. All of a sudden, and Georgia's only 2 losses are teams head-to-head that beat them straight up. Is there a possibility that Georgia is ever on the outside looking in at 10-2?
I don't think so. With losses at Alabama and at Ole Miss, and knowing that they have a win at Texas, but you know more about all the numbers. But that is a brutal schedule right there.
It is. It is a really tough schedule, and I'm just throwing it out there from the standpoint of as you lose, you start painting yourself into a corner. The margins become thinner and thinner. I would still expect 10-2 Georgia to be in there, but again, you don't want to be in the situation where the playoff committees, your playoff ranking is in their hands, because like I said, a BYU undefeated goes in there, loses 1 game, they're 12-1. Miami's 12-1, right? You don't want to be wondering what's happening down the road. So we'll see. I'm as excited for Georgia Ole Miss as I am for LSU Alabama. You can be sure of that.
All right, boom. Diamond Dave. Hey, by the way, Diamond Dave, we're drinking bourbon in studio because we had a bourbon partner in studio that brought us a barrel pick. So I thought you'd love that.
Grandpa always said you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. Atta boy.
Bam. Brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Okay, Bama at LSU. It's the night game in Baton Rouge, and it is Bama minus 2.5, and the total is 58.5. Bartoo.
Oh, it's up to 58. Yeah, I wrote down last night it's at 57, so it's going up. Dang it. So this game, I think we need to go with laying the points. Same thing with Georgia, like Ole Miss, right? Is the nuts to the points. I'll take the better recruiter on the road. Alabama does have better numbers, okay? LSU has the worst unit on the field. They are 64th in scoring efficiency defense. So I don't mind foregoing the points, not even worrying about it, and taking my Alabama, minus 140 on the road straight up. Alabama, top 15 offensive and defensive scoring efficiency so far this year. So they got better talent. They got a better staff. They got better numbers. They got the strongest units on the field. But I'd lean over in this one. You got the number 5 offense scoring efficiency wise, and you have the number 34 offense of LSU. So the number going up doesn't surprise me. I don't know where it started at. I bet you it was closer to 55, 56. Again, just like the Ole Miss Georgia game, I'll take the money line on the better team, and but on the flip side, on the total, I'll take the over because I think this is a much more offense than defensive game.
How about that? We could have some fireworks in.
Now is that late night in Baton Rouge too?
It is.
Oh God. It'd be a dream if Ole Miss and Georgia kicked off in the morning. If you could go Oxford, because how far of a drive is that? 3-4 hours to Baton Rouge from Oxford?
2.5. Yeah, it's 5.
Oh my
5.5. It's 5 hours.
Bucket list Saturday. That would be a bucket list Saturday.
Yeah.
Right? Start drinking and eating Friday night in Oxford. Go to that game. As soon as it's over, boom, book it down to Baton Rouge for the night game.
I love it. Diamond Dave, handicapper to the gods, on the Out of Bounds show, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Bartoo, is Kurt Cignetti the head coach at Indiana? Is he the new Bill Snyder or Frank Beamer?
No. He's not the Bill Snyder. Nobody's ever gonna be Bill Snyder, dude. I mean, I can't even explain how good Bill Snyder was. Now with Signetti, he has been, from a coaching effect standpoint, he's led the nation over the last 3 years combined. So he's the closest thing that we've had to a Bill Snyder in a long time. I know everybody's going to want to hire him right away, but and I don't blame him for taking the risk, but he brought 20 starters from the number one team in the Sun Belt, right? So you had player continuity, coaching continuity. You brought all of this stuff together. You had one of the top 25 staffs in the country to start the season.
Good Lord.
Just to start.
How did he know how to do that? How did guys like that know how to staff so well?
I think that's where he's really been underestimated, in that his OC and DC is one of the best pairings in college football. His offensive and defensive support staff is very, very solid. When they went out looking for a quarterback, they heeded the advice on finding guys that have strong quarterback effect in college. And the kid out of Ohio had a huge upside. And we're seeing that right now. That Rourke kid, watch him throwing footballs on Sunday. That kid is something else. I'm surprised he's not getting any Heisman play, but I mean, this is the best player on the team that is performing the most above its talent. Yet he's not getting any discussion there. So it's pretty magical what he has been able to do. I'm just, from a number standpoint, can he turn around and do it next year with 24, all those guys gone?
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
The transfer portal, short-term pain or short-term gain, long-term pain, Florida State, Michigan State, right? We see it. So he's still awesome.
Yeah. All right. Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. This is a good one. I can't believe I'm saying this. South Carolina at Vanderbilt. I mean, both teams are playing good football and playing above what we thought they would. And so South Carolina goes to Nashville, and they're laying 4.5, and the total is 45.5, Bartoo.
Oh man, see, and I was 45.5. This is a little conflicting here for me, because I want to be under, because South Carolina, get this, South Carolina has the 14th best scoring efficiency defense in college football. 14th, South Carolina. Now we were just talking about guys that have outperformed, like Signetti. There's one right there. I mean, I've been saying for a while that their defensive coordinator is solid, but I never ever thought we would be talking about the 14th defense in the country. So that's the best unit on the field. The best recruiting is with South Carolina. Coaching staffs, I call them pretty even. Recruiting, I think with it being at home, it balances that out. You got the 49th offense, the 55th offense, going up against the 68th defense of Vanderbilt and the 14th defense of South Carolina.
Ooh.
So do you want to go – so to me, it's, do you want to go South Carolina minus 4.5 or South Carolina straight up win minus 155? Because you do have Diego, who covers everything, right? Win or lose, that boy's covering everything. That's what gives me the heebie-jeebies here. I think South Carolina is going to win straight up. And in fact, in the SEC, if you want to be a real degenerate, you can do some money line parlays on just who's going to win this week, because there's a lot of good numbers out there. But I like South Carolina covering on this. But I go back to, it's November. It's a lot harder to bet right now. Right? The books are so much sharper with all the data they have. It is really hard to win in November. I still go back to, let's be conservative, forego the points, get rid of the juice, take the money line, South Carolina, to get the W on the road in Nashville. But as for the cover, I think I'm going to leave that one behind.
Ooh, all right. Bartoo, talking ball, handicapper to the stars, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. I think I'm going to go one more for if you want to rip off a couple of Bartoo's bangers. Oklahoma at Missouri. Oklahoma -3, and the line is, the total is 41.5, Bartoo.
Right, and and you look at this is a defensive game. You got number 42 on defense, Missouri, number 21 on defense, Oklahoma. So look at these offenses, though, 83rd and 113th. So we're gonna go what, first to 20 in this game?
Yeah,
got to be first to 20, and it's 40. What do you have right now? Do you have it at 41.5?
Yes.
Okay. I'd love to be 42.5. 43.5. 41.5 is not at 41 is not a very common number that has actually hit that much. 42, 43 pops up a little bit more. So, but in this game, I'd lean under. But again, in terms of the spread, we got the better recruiter, albeit on the road, with the best unit on the field. I know it sounds a bit redundant, but again, we're talking November. We're talking only 3 points. Oklahoma's favored here, and again, they got the best unit. So, do we add this? Is this a 4-way parlay now? Is it South Carolina, Oklahoma?
Jackson Meadows just looked up and shook his head. Yes.
Yes, right. The all-road SEC money line parlay, right? Is that no? It's Jackson's all SEC road money line parlay. So we got South Carolina, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama. The Oklahoma one kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies because they just haven't been playing good football. Everybody else we're betting on good teams, right? Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, these are good teams that have been playing good football. Oklahoma hasn't, but neither has Missouri. So that's the only one that gave me the heebie-jeebies. But there's our Jackson SEC road parlay for the weekend.
Jackson's sitting there going, yeah, that's it. Meadows, are you taking that?
You talking about the road to financial freedom? Of course.
Oh, good Lord. All right, are we done? I didn't hit Mississippi State, Tennessee. Good hell, it's -24.
Well, a little something about Mississippi State too, because I know the performance hasn't been there, right? But we've seen the offense move up quite a bit since October 1st. The offense for Mississippi State now is 70th in the country. And I know anybody listening goes, ugh, that's not that great. Dude, there are 6 teams in the SEC worse than that. Okay? So you're at 70, but here's the thing. Mississippi State has faced the 4th toughest average defense opponent schedule this year.
Good.
4th toughest. Okay? Their defense has faced the 9th toughest offensive profile. And you also have a top 10 average recruiter face. There is nobody in terms of what I look at, right? What do I value? I value recruiting and I value offense and defensive scoring efficiency. Those are the 2 biggest things in college football. Mississippi State is not only the only one that has faced a top 10 offense, defense, and recruiting schedule, they are the only one that has faced top 25 in all those areas. Mississippi State's schedule has been flat out brutal. And I know a lot of people go, oh, it's not as tough as this or it's not as tough as that. Take away the brands. Look at the recruiting and the year-to-date performance. Mississippi State has had a wicked schedule as well. I love seeing the offense progressing. Defense isn't there, still bottom 10. Okay, that's just kind of holding steady right now. But the offense has definitely been moving up throughout October going into November. So that's my positive Mississippi State for you for the day.
I'll take it.
Right.
I'll take it.
Right. We're looking for progression. But look, in the SEC, there are only 6 teams that have progressed offensively and defensively since October. Okay, there's only 6. Texas, Georgia, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Florida, and I can't remember the other one right off the top of my head. But progression on both sides of the ball is hard, but I do want to see it. And so Mississippi State's progression has been very, very good on offense, especially relative to that schedule. I mean, it's just people can argue about it. I just said they've played the toughest schedule year to date so far in all of college football.
Boom. Bartoo on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Thanks, Bartoo. Appreciate it, buddy.
Take it easy, brother. Yep.